will say right now that that was the best phone call I've ever had in my entire life. Oh. And weirdly, 1 hour later, I had a pitch with Kevin Feige and all the Marvel people, and Sean and I were gonna tell them that we're gonna punt for a year or two and come back to this later when we all have like a clearer head and stuff. So on that Zoom with those guys, we just pivoted. And literally, he and I had been sitting in the edit room for months at this point, and we called everybody at Disney and Marvel and said, we have to change the title. And they were like, well, no, I mean, guys, it launches tomorrow. We've shipped 9,000 7-foot standees to theaters to make a wall, to get to here where we're now first billed. Okay, so you're 55 now.
Well, thank you. Thanks.
I just have one quick question. How did you do this?
Something strange was happening in the Marvel Universe, and for once, it wasn't in the script. As Deadpool and Wolverine neared release, fans noticed something chillingly out of character. Ryan Reynolds, the motor-mouthed, meme-making face of Deadpool, had gone silent. No sarcastic interviews, no chaotic late-night appearances, not even a cheeky tweet. And for a man who built an empire off charisma and chaos, that silence was louder than any press tour. But behind that stillness was a storm. What started as a bold new chapter for Marvel turned into a quiet rebellion, as Reynolds clashed with Disney over creative control, character integrity, and corporate overreach. What unfolded wasn't just about one movie, it was about ownership, censorship, and the slow death of creative freedom. This is the real story of why Ryan Reynolds walked away from Disney, not with a bang, but with a message they couldn't erase.
I think it might get trumped here.
Really? I don't know. In this movie, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
There's a big ol'...
I think...
Oh. Yeah, there's a couple of...
Ryan Reynolds had always been Marvel's wild card, unfiltered, unpredictable, and unmatched in charm. But as Disney launched a marketing blitz for Deadpool and Wolverine, Reynolds was nowhere to be seen. No Twitter threads, no viral skits, no panels. At first, fans chalked it up to scheduling, but insiders knew better. This wasn't absence. It was silence, with intent. The silence wasn't just a PR miss, it was strategic withdrawal. Reynolds, who normally leads marketing himself with his maximum effort team, was deliberately staying out. The buzz wasn't coming from the studio, it came from what wasn't being said. And in Hollywood, silence is never just silence, it's a statement. And this statement was only getting louder. What began as a whisper among insiders was about to explode into a full-blown revelation about Marvel's most irreverent hero. And the studio that tried to tame him.
Where were we here?
It's really noticeable now.
Oh, yeah, hey. Yeah, you know
I
what?
shouldn't have mentioned it.
Yeah, that's not a great... Okay, you gotta go backstage.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because I'm about to introduce you, and I'm gonna
Right.
yeah, so...
Do I
just
take
head
this
back there.
miniature chair?
No, you just... Yeah, actually, you know what? Take your little Hobbit chair with you, freak show. All right, there we go.
The silence broke not with a headline, but with a leak. At a private tasting for Reynolds' aviation gin, someone recorded a 22-second voice memo. You couldn't hear much, just laughter, exhaustion, and then one devastating line, "I'm done playing with the mouse." It hit like a punchline, and a warning. Fans initially thought it was a joke, Reynolds being Reynolds. But industry sources quickly confirmed he meant it. The quote wasn't just frustration, it was finality.
You'd spent 2 years. He was shooting a reboot of an 80s sitcom that was made famous by Tony Danza. And he was such a nice guy that the network that had the show, they thought it was so terrible they didn't even bother filming it. But still did 2 full seasons of it at the Fresno Regional Playhouse. And the spin-off was called Hugh's the Boss. And you can see it right there. And just dreadful. Just dreadful.
I don't know.
Absolutely dreadful.
Do you think it was a mistake to play both parts?
It was a mistake. We all tried to warn you, but you would not listen. Can you give me one? Yo, Angela!
This wasn't a marketing stunt or a meme. This was a declaration. Within days, people inside the studio confirmed he distanced himself from Disney's rollout strategy, not just because of time, but because of what the studio had done to Deadpool. It was the first clue that something deeper was broken, and that single line, casual, tired, raw, would become the rallying cry of a crumbling partnership. Ryan Reynolds wasn't just Deadpool's star, he was its architect. He co-wrote the first drafts of Deadpool and Wolverine with his longtime collaborators. But shortly after filming began, Disney brought in corporate-appointed tone coordinators and Marvel TV writers. They rewrote everything, twice. The notes were clear: make it safer, more digestible. Fourth-wall jokes were toned down, edgy humor muted. Disney executives feared the humor was too subversive and might confuse audiences unfamiliar with Deadpool. Translation: Deadpool was being sanitized.
Welcome back. Emma Corrin and music from Ovalpeck, and Noah Cyrus is on the way. But before we get to my guest, can we just please take a 5-second break of silence without Ryan chewing my ear off? Just give me 5.
You! I have Skittles back here.
It's not going to happen. Okay, oh well. My next guest was the second choice to play Xander on Buffy the Vampire Slayer. But it just didn't go his way. Please welcome the 2016 EW Entertainer of the Year, Ryan Ashley Mary Kate Reynolds.
Reynolds, frustrated, stopped attending script review meetings. One insider described it as watching a light go out. He reportedly told one executive, "You bought this character because it worked. And now you're trying to strip what made it work." That marked a turning point. The movie was no longer his playground. It had become a controlled environment, and Reynolds was losing his grip on the character he had built. While Reynolds was fighting creative interference on set, Disney was making plans behind his back. Internal emails revealed Marvel was exploring multiverse variants of Deadpool without him. One shocking idea: recasting the role with a Gen Z TikTok comedian for a what-if-style animated series. They called it experimental synergy. The goal? Future-proof Deadpool, cut costs, and dilute Reynolds' influence. To Reynolds' camp, it wasn't just about a cartoon. It was about betrayal. It proved what he feared. The studio didn't want a partnership. They wanted control.
I hope you guys haven't eaten.
Oh, yeah, there's a bunch of us out here. We've got offshoots, we've got aliens, we've got variants, Sandra feeds most of us.
What he won't do. But I have to say, I was standing there the whole time. It was really cold up there, and Peggy was meant to do that, but Peggy would not do that. And so Jules, who's the trainer, tried all sorts of things.
Jules would walk up and just shut.
What made Deadpool work? The chaos, the irreverence, the authenticity was no longer valued. He was being edged out not because he failed, but because he was unpredictable. In the world of corporate synergy, chaos doesn't scale. And Reynolds was about to become Marvel's next casualty. As production rolled on, the set atmosphere shifted. Crew members whispered in corners. People stopped talking when executives passed by. "It wasn't hostile," one insider said. "Just careful." Jokes were cut, cameos removed. Not for story, but for brand safety. Even the tone of the movie changed. The original script featured dark humor, gory injuries, and emotional complexity. By the third month, the focus shifted to multiverse gimmicks and safe storytelling. Reynolds, once the life of the set, became a ghost. No improvising, no script notes.
It's to make a wall, to get to here where we're now first billed. Okay, so you're 55 now.
Well, thank you. Thanks.
I just have one quick question. How did you do this? You look like a little oiled up baby porpoise right there. It's just,
Do you mean like the walking with the same arm, same leg thing that I'm doing?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's not physically.
It doesn't look natural, does it?
How?
But I actually work my ass off. That's the truth. I work my ass off.
That is pretty incredible. You're an actual freak show.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Actually, I did not work my ass off.
He hit his marks but checked out emotionally. Test screenings showed fans loved edgy jokes that poked fun at Marvel itself. One joke about portals got the biggest laugh of the night. Disney immediately removed it. Too self-aware, they claimed. Reynolds pushed back. They pushed harder. And the soul of the film quietly died on set. Hugh Jackman, returning as Wolverine after years away, expected meaning, not memes. He joined the project with high hopes and strong creative conditions. But instead of a bold reunion, he found himself in the middle of a cold war between Reynolds and Disney. Sources say Jackman tried to mediate, organizing calls between Reynolds and Marvel execs, pleading with Kevin Feige to find compromise. But every time a decision was approved, it got undone the following week. Even Jackman's iconic yellow suit sparked conflict. The original design featured battle damage and blood. Real grit. Disney scrubbed it. Too graphic, they said. And just like Reynolds' Deadpool, Jackman's Wolverine was sanitized for branding. Jackman stayed professional, but he was exhausted. He just wanted to make the damn movie, one crew member said. Instead, he walked into a war zone of broken promises and shifting directives.
People do need a reference. You got that? Just make sure people know who it is.
For previous Deadpool films, Reynolds was deeply involved in post-production. Editing is where he fine-tunes jokes, tightens reactions, and crafts rhythm. But this time, he wasn't invited. Internal emails called it an efficiency measure. But insiders knew the truth. Marvel wanted to control the tone without his interference. The goal was cross-platform tonal alignment, a buzzword meaning make it TikTok-friendly, meme-safe, and brand sanitized. One executive bluntly said, "Deadpool needs to survive on TikTok." When Reynolds learned he'd been cut out, he called Kevin Feige. The call lasted 9 minutes. He demanded access. He got it, but too late. The cut was locked, sequences color-corrected, jokes neutered, and the story framed for global review. His name was on the credits, but his voice was gone.
He and I had been sitting in the edit room for months at this point, and we called everybody at Disney and Marvel and said, "We have to change the title." And they were like, "Well, no, I mean, guys, it launches tomorrow. We've shipped 9,000 7-foot standees to theaters all over the place that say Deadpool and Friend." But at this point, they'd done this to us the whole way, right? Every time we asked for something, it's like, "Well, can we get Wolverine in the movie?" They were like, "No, you can't have a Wolverine. That's crazy. We don't have that." But so everything, you had to push them on everything. So we just wouldn't take no for an answer. We're like, no, we changing the title. I will never call this movie Deadpool and Friend. And they did it. They literally changed the title.
Inside Disney, the conversations turned cold. Executives began discussing what they called a Reynolds sunset strategy, a calculated PR exit. Celebrate him publicly, eliminate him quietly. They labeled him non-franchisable and compared him to Johnny Depp, high visibility, low control. They even greenlit Deadpool Origins, a prequel series without Reynolds. Scripts were written. A younger, cheaper Wade Wilson was in the works. When Reynolds found out, he didn't scream. He didn't threaten. He just sent 2 words in an email. Absolutely not. And everything froze. Files were deleted, folders locked, art scrubbed. The project wasn't canceled, just buried. That's how Disney ends things they don't want headlines for. No statement, just silence. As filming ended, Reynolds gave no speech, no toast, no jokes, just a nod to the crew and a quiet exit. 5 minutes before the final wrap call, he stepped into a private SUV and left.
We'll say right now that that was the best phone call I've ever had in my entire life. And weirdly, 1 hour later, I had our pitch with Kevin Feige and all the Marvel people, and Sean and I were gonna tell them that we're gonna punt for a year or 2 and come back to this later when we all have like a clearer head and stuff. So on that Zoom with those guys, we just pivoted and literally made up out of thin air the story of Deadpool and Wolverine, which is actually what we ended up. Sometimes when you're just so full of and you go with it, you end up actually kind of hitting the bullseye. And I really believe.
No executives visited, no Bob Iger handshake, just silence. Marvel's PR team held a confidential meeting days later. The term Reynolds sunset strategy reappeared. One internal memo compared him to a liability. The attachment, mistitled Reynolds phaseout1.pdf. The message was clear: He wasn't a collaborator anymore. He was a problem to be managed, quietly erased from future plans. His passion was no longer an asset, it was a threat. While Disney buried him, Reynolds was building a new empire. He signed a massive content deal with Netflix. Scripted series, documentaries, sports partnerships, all with Deadpool energy, none with Disney's control. Maximum Effort pulled every Marvel mention from its slate. No more mouse jokes and gin ads, no more schedule syncing with Marvel. His production office stopped answering Disney's calls. The creative divorce was complete. Before Disney locked his production account, Reynolds left behind a single text file on the company server. No folder, no name, just one sentence. Don't let them own your punchline. That was it. No explanation, just truth. He didn't storm out. He walked away, on his own terms. Ryan Reynolds didn't just quit a role. He walked away from a system trying to control what made him special. In a world dominated by franchises and formula, he stood for something rare: creative honesty. He could have coasted. He could have smiled through the press tour and let the studio reshape Deadpool into another forgettable multiverse tool. But he didn't. He chose silence. He chose resistance. He chose to leave before they could rewrite his legacy. And maybe that's the most Deadpool thing of all. Not the jokes, not the gore, not the cameos, but the refusal to let anyone else deliver the final punchline. Disney may own the rights, but Ryan Reynolds owns the soul. And now, he's building something better. Somewhere else. Somewhere free.